This is the Royals POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Kansas City Royals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome in to the Royals POSTCAST here tonight. The Royals pick up a 7-5 comeback win, blown lead win against the Seattle Mariners here in game 151. They moved to 76-76, or I guess that'd be game 152. Royals moved back to 500, and that was a pretty big win for the Royals in a lot of different ways. I think that if I were a Royals fan and I could pick out one of the starts, one of the games that I would want the Royals to win in this series, which ended up being a pretty unimportant series in the grand scheme of the wild card, but obviously a really good team coming in. You want to have that positive outlook coming back. Seeing what the Royals were able to do tonight, I would rather have them won this game and looked like they did tonight, have Cole Ragans look like he did tonight, than to have them win last night in a Michael Wacha start. And you guys know my feelings on Michael Wacha, but this is about a lot more than just one baseball game. This is about a lot more than just 152. I mean, this game was more than that. This game was the fact that the Royals had struggled here recently, and the Royals had a barrage of injuries on the pitching staff. In the first domino to fall in those injuries was the guy we saw tonight, and Cole Ragans is a subject of what you'll be talking about.
This is what you'll be talking about.
I don't think that anybody can come away from tonight's Cole Ragans outing and believe that he was anything less than stellar. I mean, he gave up the one home run to Eugenio Suarez, and Eugenio Suarez was hitting an 0 for 30 coming into this series, or coming into this game tonight. And the Royals give up 4 hits to him tonight, including a home run. So obviously you don't love seeing that. But Eugenio Suarez is a really good player for the Seattle Mariners, and a really good player, a guy that the Royals would have loved to have a month and a half ago. But now the Royals sit in a position where Cole Ragans comes back. He gives up that 2-run homer to Eugenio Suarez. But you can't tell me that Cole Ragans wasn't good. You can't tell me that he wasn't anything less than stellar. I mean, let's go ahead and take a look now at his Savant screen or his Savant page, because I really want to dive into what he was able to do tonight. That is going to be a big piece, because the one number that I want you guys to see, that's the most important for you guys to see, is this number right here: 35% swing and miss, 13 whiffs. I've talked about it so much this season. The Royals just don't have swing and miss stuff. The Royals don't have a fastball that can generate a 36% whiff rate. They've seen pitchers this season that have been able to generate that whiff rate against them. The Royals just haven't been able to do it because, guys, he was touching 98 tonight, averaging 96. That's up from where he's been at, and I get it. He only threw those 62 pitches, but from what we saw tonight from Cole Ragans, I think that you can say that he is fully healthy. He's ready to go. And you look at his line, just 3 hard hit balls, and one of them was the homer to Eugenio Suarez. The Royals were able to manage what Cole Ragans did in terms of his pitch count tonight, because he was throwing strikes, because he was getting swing and miss stuff, because he was the guy that they envisioned him being at the beginning of this season. They just weren't able to get that from him this year because he was banged up. He was injured. He had some freak injuries. He had a couple of weird injuries, and this last one kept him out for an extended period of time. And I think that while the general audience, the general public, would push back on the notion that you need to pitch, you need to have a guy like Cole Ragans pitch in this kind of setting with 2 starts left available for him. I think it was important for him to come back and pitch in this series against Seattle, and then in the series coming up next week in Anaheim. Not because the Royals are competitive in the American League wild card, not because they need to win those games, but like Jack talked about, I think it was either Monday or Tuesday, he talked about on his show that, it's one thing to have a guy come back, but you don't want to shut down Cole Ragans after he builds himself back. He continues to build, and they just shut him down completely. Yeah, you could probably throw side sessions during the offseason, which I'm sure he would do. But man, I really liked what they gave him tonight. They were really careful with how they used him, but you see a heavy dosage of fastballs, which is exactly what Cole Ragans is good at. At times this season when Cole Ragans has struggled, it's been because he's gone away from his fastball. He's gotten too cute with some of the other stuff. He hasn't gotten the swing and miss because he's been trying to mix it up too much. He knows he has an elite curveball, an elite changeup, and an elite fastball. He just needs to learn how to throw them much, much more often than not. And I really like what Cole Ragans did tonight. I think that, the haters are sick right now. The haters of Cole Ragans are sick right now. He was exceptional tonight. I don't think you could have asked for anything better, given the fact that you're only going to get about 70 or so pitches from him. But I really like what I saw from Cole Ragans tonight, guys. That's a Mariners team that's won 10 games in a row. They played their A game tonight. They played their best lineup. Mitch Garver is really the only sub in that lineup. Mitch Garver's a really good hitter against left-handed pitching this season. That's the blunt truth about it. Tonight, the Royals were really, really good on the pitching side with Cole Ragans. The rest of the bullpen, I mean, they were not good. I did not like what I saw tonight from the rest of the bullpen. Jonathan Bowling gives up 2 hits and gets just 1 out. Michael Lorenzen comes in relief. I liked what I saw from Michael Lorenzen tonight. I thought he was much better. John Schreiber was solid, but Angel Serpa continues to struggle, gives up an earned run. His 4th blown save. I feel like it's his 3rd in the last month or a couple of weeks even, really, because he's actually really struggled. I've actually been an Angel Serpa defender this season, but he's actually struggled a bit this season here of recent. And then Lucas Erceg, who has had a brutal second half of the season, a guy that I thought was all-star caliber, did not have a good outing today. Gives up a run, and the Mariners are in front now. Forces the Royals to come back in this game. They shouldn't have had to come back. They should have had a lead, but instead, Erceg gives up a run in the 8th, and Estevez gives up a run in the 9th. I don't think is it a reason to be concerned tonight in the rest of the season? Maybe. But I'm not in the I'm not going to say that I've given up on the season, but the rest of the season is not about wins and losses to me. It's about, okay, who are the guys that are coming back next season that we can rely on? Who are the guys that maybe we haven't seen much of this season, we'd like to see more of, that we need to see more of? What can we get from them? Guys like Jack Caglione, Carter Jensen, those kind of young guys that we haven't seen much of. Can we rely on them to be long-term pieces, at least pieces in 2026? I think that we saw tonight, those guys are more than capable of doing just that. I think that with a full offseason of rest, guys like Erceg and Estevez, guys, look at bullpens around the major leagues. They're taxed. They're tired. They are exhausted. The Royals bullpen here in the second half has pitched more innings than it feels like anybody has. And that's a big reason why the bullpen has struggled here recently, is because they have seen so many innings. They have been throwing so many pitches because the rotation has been an abject disaster here in the second half of the season. All right, we are going to hit a break. When we come back, we are going to dive into the offensive performances tonight, including one of Jack Caglione, who I felt like had one of his better hits of the season. Really impressive opposite field double. We'll talk about what we saw from the young guys when we come back here on the Royals Postcast. All right, today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right means cashing in. With football back, PrizePicks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes, all in less than 60 seconds. I've been playing PrizePicks lately, and it's such a fun way to stay locked in for the season. This week's max discounts, Patrick Mahomes over a half yard. You can use that this week to boost your bet here on PrizePicks. You can download the PrizePicks apps today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Today's episode is also brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, and get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. You can maximize your investments, increase your savings rate, and easily review finances with your partner and or financial advisor, keeping a clear view of your financial health week to week and long term. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. Today's episode is also brought to you by Gametime. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy, the crowd, and the chance to see your team in person. But actually getting tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees. It takes all the fun out of it. That's why I use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. The app made it super simple. I could even see the exact view from my seat before buying. And remember, fees are included. Know your total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKDOWNMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Those terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. All right, let's talk about the offense. We talked ad nauseum about the pitching staff, and I was really impressed for 3 innings tonight by the Royals offense. Even just 2 innings. They get 3 in the first, all after a 2-run rally. Give credit where credit's due. Vinny Pasquantino, Michael Garcia get on base for Salvador Perez, who has been really hot since Carter Jensen first made his appearance behind the plate. I mean, I really like what I saw from Salvador Perez tonight. He was really impressive. He was able to put together some good at-bats, 2 walks. How many times throughout Salvador Perez's career has he drawn 2 walks in a single game? You get Michael Massey pinch running for him, obviously able to get down there. But I really like what I saw from Salvi today. But the rest of the offense was left a lot to be desired, especially in the sandwich 6 innings. I mean, you go from the 2nd inning to the 8th inning and really not even threatening. They had one threatening opportunity. They had runners on first and second with the middle of the lineup coming up with nobody out. First and third with nobody out. And how many times this season have the Royals been in this position where they just have the middle of the lineup up in a run creating situation, and the Royals just aren't able to get it done? That's the most frustrating thing that I've talked about in this Royals postcast. I've talked about it way too much. You guys call me a Vinny hater, even though he was 2 for 5 tonight. I liked what I saw from Vinny, but I just didn't like the at bats, especially in those clutch opportunities. First and third, nobody out, get a ball in the air. I mean, I know Vinny did. He got a pop-up into shallow center field that was fielded by the shortstop. But other than that, they just didn't get anything done. That's a prime scoring opportunity for the middle of the lineup. The middle of the lineup that's supposed to be your run creation part of the lineup, and the Royals just don't do anything there. That's very frustrating. But Adam Frazier broke out of his slump in a big way tonight. A 2-run homer there in the 8th inning off of Matt Brash, who is a very, very good pitcher. He was able to get on the board. Really like what I saw from him tonight. He gets 2 hits, broke out of a slump. Jack Caglione with an opposite field double. I felt like that was one of his best at-bats of the season, finally looking to go the other way. Too many times this season, we've just seen him roll things over. I don't know. I think that was a really good step in the right direction for him, especially off a tough arm there in the 8th inning. Dang, I keep saying 9th inning. And then Carter Jensen drives him in, and Carter Jensen draws, guys, another 2 walks. I mean, this guy might be the Juan Soto behind the dish for the Royals. He just seems to get him back, and he just gets on base. I mean, he's the Kevin Youkilis of the Kansas City Royals. That's what he is. And Shane, I appreciate your question about rushing Ragans back. I didn't feel like he was rushed. He had an opportunity in the minors. He threw a couple rehab starts, and we talked about it. I talked about it. Jack talked about it. We've talked about why they brought him back. You can listen to this show. You can rewind it to when we talked about it. You can listen to Jack's show on Monday. There are reasons why they brought Cole Ragans back. And if I understand there's some frustration, but I mean, are you just going to tell him to sit on the shelf all season, then go into the off season? That's just not. He's a competitive guy. He's a professional athlete. He's going to want to compete. So I think it's really hard to tell a guy that's been working his tail off to come back for a potential postseason chase to say, hey, we just had a really bad 2-week stretch. Sorry, you're not going to be able to make it. That's just not good management. That's not good player development. And I think that the Royals made the right decision and at least bring him back to see what he's got. I mean, at least let him pitch in a major league outing. I think that that's something the Royals needed, and especially since their pitching staff is so taxed right now. You're having to move Michael Lorenzen into the bullpen just because you don't have anybody that can pitch in bulk. I think that it's a pretty good move to bring him back. We also saw a comment from Hawklord Li Hinge. Please tell me the Mike Yastrzemski experiment will be over at the end of the season. I like Mike Yastrzemski. I think he's fine. I don't think he's a world beater. I don't think he's a terrible option in the outfield. He's perfectly fine. But he's better than the alternative. I mean, are you going to turn to Gavin Cross, who can't hit his weight in Double-A? I don't know. I think that he's the better option. Tyler Gentry, who couldn't cut it. You want to go back to MJ Melendez in the outfield? I don't know about that. I think Mike Yastrzemski, while he's not great, it's better than the alternative option. He goes 1 for 5 tonight. He's had some big opportunities this season, but I liked what I saw from him throughout this season. But I understand the frustration with him kind of struggling here recently. All right, that will do it for tonight. We will be back tomorrow afternoon for a short edition because the Royals have a game at 1:10 tomorrow. I've got some work responsibilities that might keep me make it a quick episode. But I appreciate you guys for joining us tonight. We will be back tomorrow with another edition of the Royals Postcast.